Hello everyone and welcome to the Good Life Grillin'. My name is Chris and we're in beautiful northwestern Wyoming. I'm getting ready to head on into the store and grab my birthday dinner for tomorrow. And what better dinner to have than baby back ribs? So let's go get them. Alright, so here we are. We finally got the ribs out of the package. What I like to do is take a paper towel and wipe them off. Makes them a little bit easier to handle, not as messy. Now when I'm looking at baby back ribs, what I like to look for is I like to look for ribs that don't have a whole lot of fat on the top along here, where you can see this one does. Got a little extra that they didn't cut off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and we're going to cut that off because I want as much meat exposed as possible. Because when it comes right down to it, yeah, fat will render, but I want to make sure to get the salt and the spices on that meat, not on the fat. All right, now that we've got that done, the next thing we're going to want to do is we're going to want to take this membrane off the back. It's my least favorite thing ever to do when it comes to ribs. I would pay a little bit extra to buy ribs that had this already done in processing. Now, I don't know if I've found the best way to do this, but I like to use a standard kitchen knife to be able to get in there and try to peel it back. The more dry you can keep it. What I mean by that is it's pretty slimy, which is why I have these here, because what I'll end up doing is grabbing it with this and try to keep it as much as one piece as possible. But the importance of this isn't necessarily for flavor, but it helps biting the meat off after you're done smoking it. First time I tried this, I struggled and struggled because I didn't know what to really look at or what it was supposed to look like, or it was just such a pain. Still not a big fan of it, but it's all part of it. Just don't let it frustrate you like sometimes it frustrates me. There we go. But there is something satisfying when you're able to get all of it in one piece. When you get to the end here, the smaller portion, just stick with it. Use your paper towels. That little bit of fat build up. There's probably some of you out there right now laughing at me because you know a better way of doing it. And that would be awesome, because then you could put it out there on video and I could watch it and learn myself. I think that's all of it. So I'm going to do the other two. But that's how you do that. I'm going to get the other two done, and then we'll get back to putting the seasoning in on it and going from there. So now that we got all that done, we're going to go ahead and add the seasoning. Now, I normally like to do sweet rubs and stuff like that, but I've never done just strictly salt and pepper. So I'm going to start with the back of them. And it's not necessarily that this gets through where the bones are, but it's always nice being able to put on as much as you can anywhere that there's possible area of spice and the salt getting into the meat. And you don't want to be too heavy on the salt, especially with the little amount of meat that's here. You don't want to overdo it. But we all know that one of the nice things about bacon is the saltiness of it. And even though this isn't bacon, it is pork, so that makes it along those lines. Got all that down. A lot of times I'll use, when I'm using other rubs, I'll put mustard on here. That helps the rub stick better, but since I'm doing just salt and garlic and pepper, and I'm not putting a ton on, I'm not coating it with rub, I'm not worried about it too much. I did a video. It was 5 things that I wish I had learned when I had started smoking to make it easier and more enjoyable for me. And part of that video was talking about salt. Now I'm putting salt on right now, and I'm not putting the ribs on right now, but I'm putting the salt. Normally I like to put the salt on the night before. That allows it to permeate that meat, because salt's the only spice that will absorb into the meat. But I didn't have time last night, so I'm doing it now. Salt will absorb into meat 1/4 inch the first hour, and then another 1/8 of an inch roughly every hour after that. So it's 10 o'clock right now. I'm going to be putting these on probably around noon. So that's going to allow it, it's going to be going in on both sides, and so that allows that salt, even though I didn't put it on last night, does allow it to absorb in quite a bit, which is going to infuse that flavor, bring out the flavor of the pork, which is always a good thing. On to wrapping it up and putting it in the fridge. Now the biggest reason why I'm going to go ahead and put these in the fridge is because I want them cold. Smoke attaches itself to cold and wet, promotes that good absorption, smoke ring. So I'm going to keep it in the fridge up until I put it on the smoker for best results. You know what's pretty amazing is we're in the middle of January and today's supposed to be 47 degrees. Crazy Wyoming weather. Real quick, it doesn't take very long. You know, it's about a 5-hour smoke for the ribs, and so I don't use as many coals in the basket. And of course we've got our 40 coals there. Light the Weber Cube, probably one of the best inventions ever. All right, coals are ready to put on there. Now I'm not going to put the wood on just yet. I want it to get to temp, but also I don't want to waste the wood. Doesn't do any good having it in there if the meat's not in there. Also, don't use a whole lot of wood, especially when you're doing ribs. It can almost overwhelm it, but it's just something to watch for. It doesn't take a lot of smoke to get that smoke flavor, but quick tip for you, don't use a ton of wood. All right, so because of the length of these are pretty long ribs. I'm gonna cut them in half. I don't want to take the chance of them being too close to the coals in the pit barrel cooker. And we'll get our hooks in them. I like to go down a couple bones. There we have it. We'll go get them put on in just a second. All right, now that we got those on, we're gonna go enjoy some birthday games and probably watch some man movies. But once those get done, we'll be right back and see how they turn out. All right, so we're about 3.5 hours into it. We're gonna take a look here. And I'm gonna check the temperature of the rib. Ideally, when it pulls back from the bone, we do want it to still be at that temperature 203. So they're gonna be staying on there for probably about another hour and a half. Maybe 2 hours. We'll see how it goes. But getting closer and closer every time. I like to use these tin pans rather than wrapping them up in tin foil. A little bit more convenient. Let's see if I can get them all to fit in there. Looks like it. Looking good so far. I've got the oven going at 325. We'll put these in there. And then I'll use the Thermopin to check them every once in a while. Normally I like to use the ThermoWorks, put it in there. But I think this time I'm just going to give it a little bit. And I'll check them probably after about an hour. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and slice a few of these up. I like to turn them over so I can see. Helps if you have a sharper knife. You can see that there. Here comes the bite test. I'd say that turned out pretty good. Thank you all again for staying and watching this all the way through. If you like what you saw, go ahead and hit that like button. If you want to see more, please subscribe. I like to put something out at least once a week. If you have any ideas of what you would like to see, comment below and let me know. Again, this has been a really good birthday. Again, thank you for watching. And remember, the best barbecue is the one you're at. Thanks, and we'll see you later.